जय हिंद दोस्तों, माई सेल्फ इज निखिल कुमार, belong from the department IT department in Akgec Engineering College. Today I have a lecture on graph that is basically from the subject DSTL, Discrete Structure and Theory of Logic, especially for the BTech second year CS and Allied branch. So for today, the content for the today lecture is we have covered various applications associated with the graph, definitions, types, terminology and representations and so on. Some topics are also covered in this lecture, video lecture. Some of the topics are already covered in previous lecture series in DSTL. For today, we have covered some topics that I mentioned in this slide. The applications that are associated with the graph, that are the computer network, shortest path problem between cities. That means what are the applications that are associated with the graph. So firstly, it is very important to know what is the graph. Graph is actually a connection between some nodes that are associated with each other. Especially nodes are connected with each other. That is that we can say that is the graph. But if nodes are not connected, then it is also a graph. It is the different type of graph. We will also consider that. Where we will use the graph structure, actually we pin out some points according to the situations or the geographical, according to the geographical area, and consider that are the points, and it also is a node. So in the case of computer network, graph is used to find out the shortest path problem between cities. If we considered the city with its name a point, so to find out the shortest path between them, we use the graph theory. Scheduling exam and assign channels to television stations. Distinguish between two chemical compound with the same molecular formula but different structure. It is also used in the chemistry for chemical conditions for compound areas. What is the definition of the graph? It is very important to know basically for starting the lecture what is the graph. So a generalize of the simple concept of a set of dots, link, edges or arc. It is the word that we should be used to assign that what is graph. Yes, a graph is the term that are considered in the simple concept of a set of dots, link, edges of arc, and it is represented in the form of the V and E, a set of V and E. And what is V? V is associated with the set of vertices and E is the connection between the vertices, that are the set of edges. Basically it is represented with the capital V and capital E. V stand for vertices and E stand for edges. We also denote from this one VG and EG. G stand for graph, and V actually I already mentioned that VG will be the set of vertices for the graph and set of edges for the graph. So a graph is basically a connection between the node, between some point that are associated within a pictorial representation. What is the second one point? These are basically some point that are mentioned in this slide, can be represent a small city or big city. Let's suppose that U and V are two different cities associated here with the name U and V, and there is a direct connection between U and V, between two cities. From there is a simple path from city U to city V. So it is a direction. When direction is mentioned in a graph, it is called the directed graph. Ordered pair of vertices, that means if we associated two vertices vertices is the point that are represented in the graph. If there is a ordered pair of vertices, that means u and v, we use the term and represent u comma v. What is undirected graph? Undirected graph is the unordered pair of vertices represented as u comma v, disregards any sense of the direction and treat both the and vertices interchangeably. That means there is no direct connection, that means there is no direction mentioned in the graph, but there is a specifically there is a link between u and v, between the nodes, between the vertices. The basic difference between directed and undirected graph is that in directed graph there is a direction is mentioned from two different vertices, but in case of undirected graph there is no direction is mentioned. What is the loop? Loop is associated with a structured way in such that there is an endpoint are equal. That means if there is the starting point from a node, a vertices, that is u, and the end point is also a u. What is the starting point and what is the end point? Starting point is linked, or it can be said that in the directed graph, in the case of loop, in the directed graph, if we start a connection from a point or a vertex is u and the last point is also u, so we can say it is a loop structure. Basically, in this, u is the starting point and here the second u is the ending point. What is the concept of multiple edges? The multiple edges or two or more edges joining the same pair of vertices, that is called the multiple edges. That means if there is a connection between two vertices or more than two vertices, in more than one connections available for the vertices, so it is called the multiple edges. Let's suppose there are two points u and v and there is a connection between u and v more than the one way. That means there is a connection between u and v and u, so it is more than one connection, more than one link available in this structure, so it is called the multiple edges concept. What is the simple or undirected graph? It is very important and general term that are used in the graph theory, or we can say it is in the graph structure. What is undirected graph? Undirected graph is that means that science that there is no direction is given in the graph. And what is a simple undirected graph? That means there is no self loop, there is no concept of the multiple edge. That means for the 2 point vertices there is not more than one link is available for that structure, so we can say it is a simple undirected graph that contain a graph structures in such a way there is no self loop concept and there is no multiple edges concept, and we can represent such structure in such a scenario. G represents the graph v comma e. V is the set of vertices and e is the set of edges. Let's suppose v is associated with the set of elements u, v, w and e is the set of edges u and v, and v comma w and u comma w. That means there is a u and v is represented this edge is represented as uv, this is the vw, this is the uw. This is the concept of the simple graph. What is the multi-graph? The multi-graph scenario is totally different to the simple as directed graph, undirected graph. What is there? There is the concept of the multiple edges exist in that graph. The multi-graph is associated with such structures that the set of vertices and set of edges have a functionally associated in such a way that there is more than two connection available between 2 points at least. Here from this graph we can check out that two vertices u and v exist in such in this scenario, in this graph, that there is a connection between u and v are more than one edges associated with more than one edges. So it is the multi-graph concept. The next one is the directed graph. The directed graph, as I earlier discussed, that what is the directed graph. A directed graph is the set of vertices and edges in such a fashion that there are ordered pair of element of v directed edges. That means a graph is said to be a directed graph if it contains some directed edges between the nodes in such a way that edges are mentioned in represent as some directions. Here there is a concept, there is a direction from, there is a edge between u to v, actually u to v and exist, but v to u is not exist in the directed graph. We can check out from the direction. So what we have learned till now, we can represent from the table that the simple graph, multi-graph, directed graph and directed multi-graph have some features with the basis of some parameters, that in the case of edge, multi-edge and loop, what we have discussed till now, we can check out from the table. A simple graph contains the undirected graph and undirected edge, and in the case of multiple edge there is no multiple edge concept and there is no self loop. The other one terminology that are used in the undirected graph are, what are the degree of vertices? It is a very important point. The degree of vertices is the number of edges associated with the for the particular vertices is called the degree of vertices. Let's suppose that u the vertices u connected with the two vertices v and w. So for the case of the u, the degree d, the degree of u is will be the 2, because two vertices are directly connected with the u. And in case of the degree of v is 1, because there is a single connection to node a to node u exist. But the degree of k is 0. The reason behind that is that k is not associated with anyone the node. The next one is the, what is the in degree and out degree. The in degree concept can be represented, can be cleared that the number of edges associated that are connected, directly connected to the any particular node. If we will check out that the node u is associated with some other node, is connected with some other node, but when we will check that the number of node that are have the direct connections, the incoming connections to the node u is 0. So the incoming, the in degree of the node 0 is 0 for the case of the u, but in case of the out degree, that are the node are associated in such a way that the out directions nodes exist. For the case of u, we can check out that the vertices v and w are linked to u in such a way that there is a out directions connection between for the concept of u exist. So the degree of u, out degree, the out degree of u is 2. What is the complete graph? it is a type of the graph. It is represented as capital Kn. Kn is the simple graph that contains exactly one edge between each pair of distinct vertices. Representation of this, we can represent K1, K2, K3 and K4. That means if we use the K4 term, that means there are four vertices that are connected with each other in such a way that there is a direct direct connection to each node exists. For the case of K1, that means there is a single one node vertices exist in such a way that if one node is exist, that it will not a connection to another one node. But in case of the K2, that means two node will be exist with a direct connection. In case of 3, the number of edges that are associated with that is the 3. Each node is connected with each element. In case of K4, the total connection will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that means each node is associated with other nodes. There is no any node that are not connected with other node. And that means direct connection is available. That is the complete graph, and it is represented as Kn, where n is the number of node. N is the number of node exist. What is the cycle? Cycle is such a different type of structure, or in case of the graph, a different type of graph in such a way that it is undirected in nature basically, and we can check out that that nodes are associated in such a way that there is a cycle is generated in nature. Circulation is generated, that if there is 3 node A, B, C, and we can check out that node A is connected with C, C is connected with B, B is connected with A. So it is a cycle. What is the wheel? Wheel is the other one concept in case of the graph structure. In what is it represented? It is represented as Wn, and the n is the number of terms that are used, a number of vertices used in the graph structure. Here in this case, that we can check out that this point, this node is associated with all other nodes in such a manner that all the remaining one vertices and that are the nodes are 3. So it is the wheel 3 represented as W3. Here in this case, this vertices, that is the wheel concept, wheel node connected with all other nodes that are located at the corner, and these are the 4 in terms that we can use the term W4. What is the bipartite graph? Bipartite graph is a different type of graph structure. It is a different type of graph structure that we associated two different set connected with each other, in such a manner that set A element. Let's suppose that is a set V1, and there is a set V1 is also used, so we can use that A and B. Let's suppose A and B are two set. Set A contains some vertices V1, V2, V3, and set B connected some vertices V4, V5, V6 and Vn till Vn. A and B combinedly used for a structured graph that is called the bipartite graph. If we can categorize this graph in such a way that we can contains two sets, set A and B, in such a way that set A element connected with set B element, set B element is connected with set A element, but set A element is not connected with each other within the set A, and also set B element is not connected with each other within the set B, but they are connected with each other. Such fashion is known as the such graph is known as the bipartite graph. What is the complete bipartite graph? A complete bipartite graph is that, let's suppose that there exist two set A and set B, and set A element contains some node and set B contains some node also. All the elements that are covered under the set A are connected with set B, but not within the set A, and same the set B, all the elements are connected with the elements with the set A, but not within the set B. The concept of the bipartite graph that all the elements that are connected with the set A is connected with all the element of set B. How can it is represent? Let's suppose that is a set A and that is the set B. Set A element contains 2 and set B is associated with 3 vertices. Set A element are connected all the element that exist in the set B. We can check out that this element is connected all the element that belongs to set A. So it is represented as K2 3, K2, 3. 2 is represent for the set A and 3 represent for the set B. Here in this case K3 3, that means that two set is exist between in such a graph. Set A contains 3 element and set B contains other 3 element, and each element associated with the set A is connected with the set B. In case of bipartite graph, such scenario can exist. That means that A, B, C, D and A. That means that one set contains two element set A and B, and the other one is the set that contains other vertices C, D, E. These are not connected with each other. These are not connected with each other, but along with that, the set A elements connect with the set B element. But in such a scenario, B is no direct connected with E. It is the bipartite graph. But in case of the complete bipartite graph, all the nodes that are associated with set A and set B should be connected. Okay, so this is the complete bipartite graph. We will discuss in the next slides and the next video lectures subgraph and different strategy that are mentioned in the contents that are mentioned in the first video in the video lectures in the first slides. Thank you, class.